Rapsodo's done it again. They've just rolled out an update to the MLM2 Pro that further cements this $700 launch monitor in a league of its own when it comes to the at-home launch monitor for golfers like you and me. They're now giving us angle of attack and club path, two data points that people have been asking for a long time. They're finally here. Luckily, I've had access to this update for a little bit of time, so I've been testing it. We're going to dive deep into that testing today, and I'm going to explain to you more about this update and ultimately why I think this is such an important update to the MLM2 Pro. So let's get into it. So club path and angle of attack, two incredibly important data sets that you see on every single premium top of the line $5,000, $25,000 launch monitor on the market today. Two data points that allow a golfer to really understand why the golf ball does what it does. Rapsodo users have been asking for it, and Rapsodo obviously is listening, and they've been testing and testing and testing, and they've rolled it out. And what I think this signifies or shows yet again is that Rapsodo is not resting on their laurels with your subscription money. I've been testing this thing since about late 2023, and in that time, I've seen 5, 6, 7 different crucial updates, not just bug fixes and firmware updates. Like, these are updates of graphics, better practicing programs in the target range, GS Pro integration, and now new data sets that are going to help you, the golfer, become better and ultimately have more fun. The data sets are actually kind of nice too, because you don't need club stickers. You don't need to really change anything to use these. It's a simple app update and a firmware update, and you're good to go. The flow to get these measurements is a little bit different. When you would open this up and set it up, the alignment screen was one screen. You just line it up, see the line, see the box, there you go. Now it's 3 screens because you've got the initial alignment, and then you're gonna see the tilt. It's got to measure tilt now, which with this base, it's super, super easy. But obviously, if your ground isn't level, you've got to kind of make sure it's spot on, because now that it's measuring what the club is doing at impact and how it's moving, it needs to be level with where you're hitting from. And there's a little additional box that it's a little bit smaller, so it's a little more precise. You have the ball in that box, you're going to get all the shot data, but also the club data, the path data, the angle of attack data. Doesn't take that much longer, but it's just nice to know it's something more you have to do to assure the most accurate reading. And speaking of that, when I was testing it, the spot's smaller. So unless you kind of mark the ground or not, you got to guess a little bit, but the flow in the app to just open up target alignment and then just kind of refresh where it needs to be, easy as pie, like not hard at all. The flow is so easy. The app is so easy to use. Obviously, when I test indoors, I'm using the RPT balls to get the best spin data that I can get. Outside, you're not going to hit those balls, but you're still going to get these measurements outside. You just got to go through that alignment flow, but it's super, super easy. And in my testing, I mean, it seems good. Like, it seems really accurate. I have a good understanding with what my angle of attack is throughout the bag and what my path is throughout the bag. When I've tested this, when I've used it, it seems really, really good. One thing I like, though, is there is a wee bit of a lag. So you'll see on the screen here, I hit, and those last 2 data points aren't instantly there because they have to measure it. Rapsodo, the unit, is using the information from the camera and all the other data to measure those metrics. Those metrics aren't calculated. They aren't like used in an algorithm based on this. They're measured. It has to process. So, I mean, yeah, you'd love to see it like that, but I kind of like that I'd hit the shot, I'd watch it fly, and then, a split second or 2 later, those metrics that I was, consciously looking for in my testing would appear, because it just kind of gave me a bit of confidence that it's not just an algorithm that's calculating, like it's actually measured. I kind of like that. And speaking of measurements, speaking of accuracy, Rapsodo tested 10,000 shots head-to-head with the GCQuad. They sent me this information, and it held up. It was within a degree in both measurements, 0.97 degrees in club path and 0.76 degrees in angle of attack. I mean, what more do you want? Like, it's every launch monitor, I think, is going to have a variance of, let's say, half a degree here or there. To do that scientific testing, I'm sure those alignment things were spot on. To see that it hangs that closely with the GCQuad is just encouraging but impressive and confidence building as well. And you may say, well, what about a TrackMan? They didn't test with a TrackMan because it is a different measurement. This uses the moment of impact, whereas a TrackMan and most other radars are using center of gravity. Because this has radar and a camera, they're measuring more like a GCQuad would or an iMini, which I'm going to do very shortly. So just slightly different measurements, and you're going to see that if you are comparing any optical to a radar one. One is going to be moment of impact, and one is going to be center of gravity. So you're going to see just a little bit of a variance or skew there. But yeah, 10,000 shots within a degree of GCQuad for like, you do the math. One's $25,000, one's $800. Like, pretty dang good. So I did my own little testing. I hit 4 shots with my 9-iron in this session with the iMini and the Rapsodo. It's not scientific by any stretch. It's just more information, more curiosity. I had them lined as close as I think they could be lined to my human eye. I didn't measure it. You know what I mean? Like, this was just out of interest to see how close they are, just kind of as a Joe Blow hitting some shots. And we see this first 9-iron, 6.3 down on iMini, 6.7 down on Rapsodo. I think that's going to be pretty accurate because we're talking about level ground. Path may have some variance because, again, if it's marginally, if they're not aligned the exact same way, let's see, 0.1 degree to the right with iMini, 1.3 to the right with Rapsodo, pretty spot on or within a degree. Here we go, zeroed out on the iMini, 0.4 to the right on Rapsodo, 6.5 down, 5.2 down. So just a little bit off there. Yardage though, or every other metric is really close, which is very, very encouraging. I had the dot on the club for the iMini and just the RPT ball. 6.6 down, 7.7 down, 1.4 to the left, 2.5 to the left. A degree-ish, not bad. And then this one I totally chunked. 5.7 down, 5.4 down, 0.7 to the left, 0.6 to the right. So like within a degree-ish, that's kind of what they saw with 10,000 shots. This was 4 fun shots. It's pretty spot on. It's pretty accurate. It's going to give you the information you need as a golfer to learn from these 2 metrics. And that's kind of what I want to get into, what I think is important about this, just briefly, especially when it comes to like lob wedge, pitch shots, chip shots, and driver. Like, you can learn a lot about why the golf ball is doing what it's doing off the tee based on your angle of attack and based on your path. And you can kind of work on that. And then when it comes to your pitches, your chips, a lot of people struggle kind of coming up and out of it and not having enough angle of attack on those shots inside 50 yards with a lob wedge. If you can have enough angle of attack with a good path, you're really able to control launch and control spin. Like, you can use these data points to get better. That's what I love about the Rapsodo unit and what they're giving you. There's so much in here that isn't simply just for like the sim golfer to have fun at home. There is so much with this launch monitor and with this app that will allow you to get better, practice better, and and learn why you're doing what you're doing and improve at an incredible price point. Even if you just have a net at home, like, you can get better, or out on the range, you can get better with what this allows you to do. And these 2 data points are huge for that, because you can work on driver, control that club path, learn from the angle of attack. You can control your spin if you get your angle of attack better, and you can get the feedback of, oh, what does that feel like in terms of angle of attack? And then again, with the wedge, if I'm coming way on the inside, what does that feel like? And then what does that show me data wise? Or, what does that feel like? And then what does that show me data wise? You can use this to get better. And that is why I am a big fan of this. I'm a big fan of everything they do. And I can't wait to see the next one, because it just seems like in 4 or 5 months from now, we're going to get another update that is going to benefit the golfer, the user, and further show that for $700 out the door, $500 lifetime subscription, $1,200, you've got something that's really dang good and not 20 times worse than the $20,000 unit. Like, that's the divide. A $20,000 unit, a $1,200 unit, they're actually a lot closer than you think. And that's why I'm really impressed by this. So let me know, have you tested this? Are you using it? Are you excited about it? Are you a Rapsodo user? Sound off in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.